Rain fell softly over the city that night, tapping on car roofs like small, patient fingers. Anya sat behind the wheel of her old sedan, waiting outside a glass office tower, watching the red and blue lights blur through the wet windshield. She was tired. She was always tired. Driving people home after midnight was not the life she had imagined for herself, but it paid the bills, and bills did not care about dreams. She was 32 years old, a single mother raising her 6-year-old daughter Sonia alone in a small apartment on the edge of town. Sonia's father had left 2 years ago, quietly, without much explanation, the way some people leave when things get hard. Since then, Anya had learned to carry weight without complaining. She worked during the day at a small flower shop, and at night, 3 times a week, she drove for a private car service. It was not glamorous work, but it let her pick Sonia up from school most afternoons, and that mattered more to her than anything else. Tonight's passenger was late. The app said his name was Victor. She had driven executives before, tired men in suits who barely looked up from their phones, who mumbled addresses and said nothing else the whole ride. She expected the same tonight. When the glass doors finally opened, a man stumbled out, one arm braced against the wall. He was tall, dressed in a dark suit that looked expensive but wrinkled now, his tie loosened, his eyes half closed. A security guard walked beside him, holding his elbow gently, guiding him toward her car. He had a rough night, the guard said, opening the back door. Company dinner. Too much wine, not enough food, I think. Can you get him home safely? Anya nodded, stepping out into the rain to help. The man leaned heavily against the car door, murmuring something she couldn't quite hear. Up close, she noticed his face, tired, unshaven, but not unkind. There was something almost boyish about the way his head tilted back against the seat once he settled in, like a man who had been carrying too much for too long and had finally allowed himself, just for one night, to stop. She got in the driver's seat and looked at the address on her phone. It was across town in the wealthy part of the city, near the river. She started the engine. Thank you, he mumbled, eyes closed. Everyone left. Nobody wanted to drive me. Bad night. It's okay, Anya said softly. I'll get you home. He didn't answer. Within a few minutes his breathing slowed and he drifted into a light sleep, his head resting against the window, the rain drawing streaks of light across the glass beside him. Anya drove carefully, glancing at him now and then in the mirror. There was something quietly sad about him, she thought. People assumed money erased loneliness, but she had learned, both from her own life and from years of driving strangers home, that loneliness did not care how much a person earned. It found its way into penthouses just as easily as small apartments. Halfway through the ride, her phone rang. It was Sonia's babysitter. Anya, I'm so sorry, the babysitter said. Sonia has a fever. Not high, but she's asking for you. I didn't want to worry you, but she won't stop crying. Anya's chest tightened. She glanced at the man sleeping in the back seat, then at the road ahead, then at the dashboard clock. She was almost 40 minutes from home, and this man still needed to get to his address, which was in the opposite direction. I'll be there as soon as I can, she said quietly, trying to keep her voice steady. Just keep her comfortable, please. She hung up and took a slow breath. This was her life, always torn in 2 directions, always calculating how to be in 2 places at once. She had learned long ago that panic didn't help. Only steady hands and clear thinking got her through nights like this. She drove on, careful and quiet, her mind now half on the road and half on her daughter's small, feverish face. A voice broke the silence. You seem upset. She glanced in the mirror. He was awake now, sitting up slightly, blinking at her with tired but clearer eyes than before. It's nothing, she said. Just, my daughter isn't feeling well. I'll take care of it after I drop you off. He was quiet for a moment. How old is she? 6. You're a mother, he said, almost to himself, like he was noticing her for the first time. Driving strangers around at midnight and still worrying about a sick child at home. Anya didn't know what to say, so she said nothing. She wasn't used to passengers noticing her at all, let alone asking questions. I'm sorry, he said after a pause. For today, for being like this. It's been a hard year. My company is doing well on paper, but tonight everyone at that dinner was pretending to like me because of what I can give them, not because of who I am. Sometimes I forget what real conversation even sounds like. Anya glanced at him briefly. You don't have to apologize to me. I just drive the car. Maybe, he said quietly. But you're the first honest person I've talked to in months. They drove in silence after that, the wipers moving steadily across the windshield, the city lights sliding past like slow glowing rivers. When they reached his building, tall and modern with glass reflecting the rain, he didn't get out right away. Please, he said, let me help. With your daughter. I have a driver on call, a car that can get you home faster than this one. And I know a pediatrician who owes me a favor. Let me do something useful tonight, for once. Anya hesitated. She wasn't used to accepting help from strangers, especially not passengers, especially not men who paid for expensive suits and empty dinners. But there was something steady in his voice now, sober and sincere, that made her believe him. Within 20 minutes, thanks to his call, a second car arrived to take her home quickly, while his own driver took him the rest of the way. Before she stepped out, he handed her a card. My name is Victor, he said. Please call me tomorrow. Let me know your daughter is all right. I would like to know. She took the card, unsure what to think, and hurried home. Sonia's fever broke by morning, thanks to rest and medicine and a mother who stayed up watching over her all night. Anya almost forgot about the card until she found it in her coat pocket 2 days later. She stared at it for a long time before finally dialing the number. Victor answered quickly as if he had been waiting. She's better, Anya said simply. Thank you for your help that night. I'm glad, he said, and she could hear real relief in his voice. Would you let me thank you properly? Coffee, perhaps. Nothing more than that, if you'd like it that way. She almost said no. She had said no to many things over the past 2 years, protecting herself and her daughter from disappointment. But something about that rainy night, about a tired man who had noticed her exhaustion instead of ignoring it, made her pause. Coffee, she agreed. Just coffee. It began slowly, the way real things often do. Coffee became a quiet dinner, which became a walk in the park with Sonia feeding ducks while Victor asked her daughter serious questions about her favorite cartoons, listening as if her answers truly mattered. He never rushed. He never made Anya feel like she had to choose between her daughter and anything else. He simply made room in his life for both of them, patiently, gently, over many months. He changed too, in his own way. He learned to leave dinners early instead of drinking through his loneliness. He started coming home to call her, just to hear about her day, instead of staying late at empty meetings. Slowly, without either of them announcing it, they built something steady together, not out of grand gestures, but out of small kindnesses repeated night after night. A year later, Anya stood in her kitchen, now much larger, in a house that still smelled faintly of fresh paint, watching Sonia do her homework at the table while Victor made tea nearby, humming quietly to himself. She thought of that rainy night often, how close she had come to simply dropping him off and driving away, never learning his name, never calling that number. She had not expected love to arrive dressed as an exhausted man slumped in the backseat of her car. But sometimes, she realized, life did not announce its gifts loudly. Sometimes it simply waited quietly in the rain, patient and unassuming, until you were ready to notice it. And Anya, who had spent so long being strong for everyone else, finally let herself be cared for too.